So we're going to start off. I'm going to actually invite our county administrator, James McCafferty, to come up and kind of get us kicked off, and then we'll get right into our program.
Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for coming out on such a beautiful, sunny Cleveland fall day. I was talking to people from Chicago yesterday. We were in Cleveland about the new Medical Mart Convention Center. And I said, you know, it's great. We're bringing all the sunshine and light into the new convention center, which is still going to be underground. If you've ever been in the old one, you never get to see the light of day. The only problem is from October till May, it's always cloudy and rainy, so I don't know exactly what we're bringing into the new convention center from a weather standpoint. But with that being said, thank you. I'm really glad that Catherine invited me to come this morning. When Tapestry System of Care started, I had a different role in the county. And I hope it's, to some extent, I was one of the people that created this when I was in Children's Services. Certainly didn't create it to be totally what it is today, but I think I was part of the ground floor with the concept. And that's when I was looking at the artwork that the kids did. One of the girl, I assume it's a girl, I should make an assumption, drew a young girl's face, and then to the side it says, sometimes I'm annoyed, angry, mad, and happy. And whoever that is a county employee lady. Because any given time during the day, Rick Warner feels exactly the same way. Happy. Yeah, he's always happy because he's got a great boss. I'm just kidding. But you know, the truth is, and there is no normal job. I have 3 kids that could have written the same thing. Rick said his 14-year-old daughter probably did write it. You know, the kids we're talking about are kids. You know, when I was in Children's Services, we always talked about a child welfare kid, a juvenile justice kid, a mental health kid, because we label them as adults. And the truth is, they're kids. And there are kids, the Cuyahoga County kids. Whatever their needs are, whatever the system they're in, it's our responsibility as adults to meet those needs. And the best way to meet those needs is when they're in a family, and they're in their own community, in their own neighborhood. And really, if you get to the core of what system of care is about, what family to family and Children's Services is about, what Joe Blocker tries to do at EFS, is that we want to wrap a community around a family to help the child, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. You go to where the child and the family is, and you provide the services there. You don't make them go to where you have the services. And while that seems like a simple idea, it's really not done very well measured. I had to go to Washington over the years to testify to Congress a couple times. And I always said in Washington, now y'all talk about family-centered neighborhood practice, but what Washington funds is silo practice. What Washington funds is you don't keep the child in the family, you take the child out of the family. When I was at Children's Services my last year, when I was going to testify, I took my numbers with me. And that year, I got for 4E, which is reimbursement for kids out of the home, I received $51 million in federal reimbursement. We had a form of funding called 4B, which is for services for kids in the home. I got just a little bit over $1 million for those type of services. So part of it is, it's not just talking the talk, it's walking the walk. What I can see when I look out here is every one of the people in this room walks the walk, they don't just talk the talk. My friends from the neighborhood collaboratives and the council of neighborhood collaboratives, I think it changed your name. My friends from the alliance agencies, who are the more traditional mental health agencies, have all come together to work with juvenile court, children's services, employment family services, to really create family-centered neighborhood-based practices. I think that's a resounding thing. It's a wonderful thing that you've done. Somebody asked me this morning, will this go away with the new administration? I can't tell you for sure, but I don't think so. I can tell you have an advocate in myself. I know you'll have an advocate in Warner. I'll fight like hell if we try to have this kind of practice. I mean, I don't see it ending. I don't think we should be overly concerned with the switch in county government that this is going to go away. Because it's proven it works, and most of it is really good for kids and families. And that's really what it's all about. So thanks for coming this morning. Have a great morning. I'll be here for most, I guess, hear the judge speak. She says they'll be putting me in jail if I participate. So I want to stay and hear her keynote speech, and then I may have to leave before the end of the morning. But thanks for coming out. Have a good morning.
Thanks, Well, thank you very much, Jim. I'm really excited to see every one of you this morning. For those of you who I haven't had a chance to meet personally, my name is Catherine Lester, and I'm the Director for Tapestry System of Care. And this year, we're really excited to be showcasing all of the great work that's happening in this county, particularly around all of the champions, each of which are sitting in this room, of System of Care. And before we get too deep into what we're going to be talking about, I want to introduce a really special young man. His name is Ricardo Hunt, and he's going to actually kind of co-MC this event with me today. So Ricardo, if you can kind of come on up and introduce yourself, and then we'll get right into the program. And you know, it takes a lot for a young man who's 15 to get up in front of all these people. So yeah, that's really nice.
Thank you. My name is Ricardo Hunt. I am 15 years old. I'm in the 10th grade at Garfield Heights High School. I love to play basketball and I love dancing. I have a family. My mom named Latanya Minner, my sister named Deanna, and my brother Lil Carl, and my dad, Carl Evans Sr. We had some problems at the beginning, so my mom filed a ruling on me, and the magistrate Airbar said that he would give me some help. So then that's when I got introduced to Miss Newton. She was involved with the Tapestry program. She helped me get a job, a mentor, in this program called Claudia's House, and to get away from my family and to help some. When Ms. Brown came in my life, she did not only help me with my attitude and how to speak and to my parents and the dog, but she got my whole family involved with coming to meetings every month and going to youth programs to help youth like me succeed in life. I just want to let Ms. Brown know that my whole family loves her and appreciate everything she do for us. I also have to thank Elder Richardson for stepping up and being a mentor to me. He listened to me when I talk and also made me look at what I done wrong. But what the Tapestry program has taught me and my family is partnership, leadership, responsibility, and to help others. I just want to say to people in this room, thank you, and I appreciate everything that Tapestry has to offer me and my family.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ricardo. All right, well, before we get started, do you want to tell folks, I was going to say, where did it go? A little bit about the quilt at the back?
The quilt back here, it tells from different families, like their strength and positive stuff that they do, like the strength, like people are good at math, and what people like to do in their spare time, and all the other things, like family, when people cook together, like a family thing, get to know everybody, and the family members do other things with each other, so they could get to know each other more, and pretty much it.
We can get away from using and exploiting our theme weaving tapestry, and so we wanted to definitely have a quilt, which I just want to say, you know, I really appreciate all of the support groups that meet every month. They actually created the quilt that's displayed. There's also some art at the back of the room that if you haven't had a chance to kind of take a look at it, that's also been created by some of the youth that are involved with tapestry, and so just take a moment to kind of take a look at what's back there. And then the last piece that I wanted to acknowledge are the centerpieces on your tables. If you have a dot in your program, you get to take the centerpiece home. These centerpieces were actually created and donated by each of the support groups that meet again every month. It should be in the middle, it's a blue dot. And maybe it's not just blue, maybe it's multiple colors. I didn't know how excited people were going to get about the dot. Okay. people were going to get about dots. So, yeah, cool. Well, we are really excited because Judge Sweeney is here with us today, but before we get to that, I wanted to take a moment just to highlight some of our accomplishments. Last year, I think we did a lot around the ending of the federal grant project and really talking about a lot of data related to our work. And so we're not going to talk as much about data, although we appreciate all the data stuff that our Kent State folks do, but I just wanted to kind of highlight a couple of things. And some of these are actually included on your tables as data points, but let me just kind of touch on a couple. Last year, Tapestry served over 1,000 youth who had some sort of serious emotional or social issue going on. On average, most of the youth that we served were male, about 60%, and they tended to be African American, about 78% of all of our youth. We have, through Tapestry, helped young people reduce problems and severity of their problems and increase their overall functioning. As well, parents and youth share that they were more satisfied with the services that they received through Tapestry as compared to services that they received through other more traditional models. On average, about 24% of the young people had a repeat involvement with juvenile court, and that might sound high, but on comparison, the national average is well over 50%. So I think we're doing pretty good here in Cuyahoga County with that. One of the goals that we have through Tapestry is to really make sure that if children are actually in some sort of out-of-home placement, that they have stability where they're living or they're moving back to their community with their family. And that is definitely an important goal. And almost 90% of the youth served by Tapestry had either a decrease in the level of placement restrictiveness or stayed at the same. And we know that moves hurt kids, so when kids stay stable, that's always a good thing. And then family support. You heard Ricardo talk so much about Ms. Brown, Ms. Canidia Brown. And so family support is such an important part. Ms. Brown is one of the parent advocates that are working in this system of care. And since the beginning of 2010, over 2,000 family support services have been provided, and there have been more than 100 support groups connecting with young people like Ricardo. So, with that being said, I think what we want to do is kind of turn it over. Ricardo is going to introduce our keynote speaker, and I will let him get to it.
For those who may not be familiar with Judge Sweeney, I have a pleasure of seeing her firsthand in action as shepherd justice in the crime approach. And without a doubt, she would definitely make Cleveland a contender if Hollywood should ever want to remake the hit show Judging Amy. Judge Sweeney, she was raised on a farm in Western Ohio and came to Cleveland to attend law school at Case Western Reserve University.
I just want to say I think that's a great university.
Prior to joining the bench, Judge Sweeney served as an associate with the firm Steege, Hickman, and Loader. She later joined the Cuyahoga County Public Defender's Office as an assistant public defender. Elected to the bench in 2004, Judge Sweeney was awarded an ABA Young Lawyers Division Award for Child Advocacy, as well as a Marshall Memorial Fellowship in 2006. Additionally, Judge Sweeney was a recipient of the 8th District Judicial Conference Award for Pro Bono Services in 2009. The Cuyahoga County Juvenile Mental Health Court was found under Judge Sweeney's leadership, and she presides over the Mental Health Court as well as Family Drugs Court. Judge Sweeney's tireless leadership in Cuyahoga County's system of care has made a difference for countless children and their families. And I want to let everybody know here today, she made a difference in my life when I was in her court. So will everyone please join me and give a warm welcome to our keynote speaker, the Honorable Kristen W. Sweeney.
I don't know who he was talking about. It's the parents. If people would just take responsibility for raising their children, these kids wouldn't be so screwed up. I don't know about you, but there are times when I don't want to tell people what I do for a living because I cannot stand hearing that kind of judgmental misperception. Can I get a witness? It is my great pleasure to be here with you today celebrating Cuyahoga County Tapestry Systems of Care. We are here because we care about the children and families in this county with emotional and behavioral health issues. We are here because we know how untrue and ignorant some attitudes are. And we are here because there is nothing more rewarding than helping these kids succeed. Today I'm going to talk about weaving solutions for children and families. Specifically what Tapestry really is, how it works, and why it works. I'm going to talk about the rewards and challenges of what we do, and I hope to convey to you how proud I am to be a part of this system and to be here with you this morning. What is Tapestry? According to their website, the Cuyahoga County Tapestry System of Care is a partnership of parent leaders, local agencies, neighborhood centers, and public partners that take a family-centered team approach to serving children with multiple needs. I think that's a fine definition, but I would like to add two more. Tapestry is an organizational structure that allows relationships to flourish. And since we're talking about weaving solutions for families and children, I can't resist. Tapestry is the loom upon which the tapestry of connections between children, parents, siblings, grandparents, care coordinators, counselors, parent advocates, psychiatrists, social workers, probation officers, mentors, service providers, and any other informal support person I've missed is woven. I am assuming that the metaphor of a tapestry was intentionally chosen. It's a view for systems of care. It's a beautiful and fitting image. A tapestry is a hand-woven, heavy cloth with a richly and complexly designed picture used as a wall hanging. It requires many different colors and threads. It takes skill and perseverance to create. It's built to last, and it's a beautiful art. The tapestry enriches the lives of both the weaver and the recipient. It's a thing of great value. Systems of Care is all about people from different organizations with different approaches and different points of view coming together to work with children and families as a team to achieve the same goal. That the child and family will achieve their maximum potential, and that the mental health and/or behavioral issues that stand in the way of this goal will be effectively addressed. It can be a challenge to get different systems to work together. The goals, needs, and perspectives of people from each discipline can be radically different. The language and terms of art each uses are different. And of course, there are politics in bringing together different organizations that don't normally collaborate that we have to be sensitive to. For instance, who's going to pay for the given service? Each organization has its own internal pressures and controversies, but we must have some understanding of these challenges in order to work effectively together. So the advantage of Tapestry is that it forces us to be better in working with children and families than we otherwise would have been. It forces us to broaden our horizons. In order to work effectively with people from different disciplines, we have to know our own limits, and we have to respect the competencies of the people in other systems. My involvement with Tapestry comes primarily through the Juvenile Mental Health Court. The Juvenile Mental Health Court is a voluntary, court-supervised program for juvenile offenders whose delinquent behavior is the result of their mental health issues. These kids are in the justice system because of their mental health needs, and they need more help than regular probation can provide for them. Therefore, it only makes sense to collaborate with the mental health system to help these kids. It's a specialized docket program in which the juvenile court supports the kid, his family, and the mental health providers. And the court in this context specifically means me, the probation officers, and the public defender representing the teens. We accomplish this by having meetings called staffings every Monday afternoon, where we sit down with the care coordinators and any other service provider who wishes to be there. And we review how the kid is doing, and we talk about what I need to address on that particular day. And I ask the care coordinators, what sanctions or rewards can we implement on that day? You would be amazed at what a tremendous reward just a simple round of applause is for a kid and their parent. Right after the staffing, we hold the court where I immediately implement those rewards and sanctions with the kids and parents. Mental health court is open, meaning that everyone sees how everyone else is doing. We celebrate their successes together, and the kids and parents get to see that they are not alone in their struggles, that other people are going through the same issues. It's my most thrilling and exhausting time of the week. I have received extensive training in law that enables me to function as a judge. I know what my social function is, and I know how I'm supposed to carry it out. And although I have undertaken my own informal education in social work, therapy, mental health, and public health, it can be difficult for me and the probation officers and the lawyers to recognize when a child's delinquent or unruly behavior is caused by mental illness or a dysfunctional family dynamic, as opposed to just being a choice that the child is making. So we really rely on the treatment providers to help us sort this out. This is the power of Tapestry. The treatment providers also help us in the court concentrate on the family's strengths, which is another key component to how Tapestry weaves solutions for children and families. As their website says, the focus is on discovering the strengths, needs, and culture of each individual family, while also tapping into close-to-home community services and natural supports that can sustain a family during this process and beyond. How does that happen? It happens when people talk to one another. It happens when care coordinators ask questions and listen to the answers. It happens when the kids decide that they can trust the adults to listen to them without judgment and with the hope that there is a better, healthier way of being in the world. The success of any intervention depends upon the relationships, the trust, the warmth, and the goodwill that develops between the professionals and the families they serve. Many of the parents that we work with, and especially those of us in juvenile court, really do have dysfunctional parenting styles. They can be a major cause of their child's behavior problems. If our goal is to change the child's behavior, we are also going to have to change the parent's behavior. And to do that, we must create an environment where issues can be safely acknowledged and where the parent and child can feel that successful change is possible and worthwhile. No one wakes up in the morning and thinks, today I am going to work on screwing up my child. There are very few labels more stigmatizing than that of bad parent. Simply shaming someone does nothing to change their behavior. If you walked up to someone and said, "You're fat," would you really expect that person to be motivated to lose weight? And in the very unlikely event that you did motivate them to want to lose weight, without a better understanding of nutrition or any support in changing old habits, how likely is that person going to be to lose weight and keep it off? So is simply calling someone a bad parent and expecting them to achieve long-term successful change any more likely? When we want to create positive change, we have to focus on what that person or that family does well. Everyone has strengths and things that they do well and enjoy doing. But given the severity of some of the issues that we work with, it's too easy to focus on the negative. When we focus on simply fixing the problem without respecting the whole person we are trying to help, the kids especially pick up on that. And that becomes a problem. That problem becomes their self-concept. I like to tell the kids in court, if you are driving and there's a huge boulder by the side of the road, should you look at the road or the boulder? You drive where you focus. If you only focus on the boulder, you're going to hit that boulder. If you focus on the road, you leave the boulder in the rearview mirror. We focus on strengths. We acknowledge the problems that our kids and families have, but we approach our work with the expectation that our families are capable of success. One reason why it's difficult for me to talk about work is because I don't want the audience, any audience, to think of the kids I work with in terms of the worst thing that they've ever done or the worst thing that has ever happened to them. We deny them their humanity when we do that. I would not want to be defined by my worst deed or my worst trauma, so I'm careful not to do that to the kids that I work with. So in the next part of this speech, I'm primarily going to try and talk about the care coordinators rather than the teens and the parents in mental health court. I want to talk about 3 care coordinators I've worked with in mental health court: Fiona James, Kelly Urban, and Darnetta Frazier, to paint a vivid picture of how much of a difference they make in the lives with the kids with whom they work. Fiona James was the only person on the mental health court team one girl with severe depression was willing to work with. This young woman had closed herself off from everyone and reacted with open hostility to most people. She wouldn't talk to me, she wouldn't talk to her attorney. Her mother was scared of her, and her father at this point was just simply resigned. And yet, Ms. James managed to communicate to her that she cared and that change was possible. It was possible to live differently and to achieve health. Ms. James got the girl involved in Reading RAM, an exercise class, helped her to enroll in the Eleanor Gerson School. Now the girl smiles. She made a music video which premiered at a local theater. She lost over 40 pounds in a matter of months and recently graduated from mental health court. None of this would have been possible without Fiona because nobody else was reaching her. Fiona was an extremely effective advocate in helping us see what caused certain behaviors and how to respond to them appropriately and not punitively. Kelly Urban was willing to be the lightning rod in a case involving a young man who we thought had severe social phobias, among other diagnoses. His mother led us to believe that he could not function in society because of his emotional disabilities. But as Ms. Urban began working with this young man, we discovered that it was not his disabilities, it was the mother's emotional abuse that was the problem. She had been systematically cutting him off from the world for years. This was an extremely intelligent, creative, and expressive young man, and he began to rebel at this treatment. So his mother filed unruly charges against him so that we could help her fix him. When Ms. Urban discovered what was really going on, the case went in an entirely different direction. Needless to say, the mother was not very happy. But Ms. Urban stood firm and protected this kid. When he ended up in independent living last spring, it was Kelly who taught him how to cook, how to make a bed, and how to shop for clothes. She told the story of helping him pick out shirts and pants, but she thought she would let him buy his own underwear. And after leaving him alone for 20 minutes so that he could do this, when she came back, he was still standing in the same place, staring at the boxers and briefs, because he had no idea how to select the sizes. Today, this young man is on a full ride at the University of Toledo. Please keep your fingers crossed for him. Darnetta Frazier has consistently been assigned our most criminally involved youth. That's just a fluke, I swear. In one particular case, we'd had this young man in mental health court for over a year, and we had gotten about as far with him as we were going to get. So I brought him and his mother into court, and I asked them if I should just terminate their involvement in mental health court. The mom said yes. And the boy looked over at Darnetta and said he really liked working with Darnetta and he didn't want that to end. I don't know who was more surprised, me, Darnetta, the probation officer, or his attorney. And once his kid said that, his mom immediately piped in and said she too wanted to keep seeing Darnetta. I will never forget that. These are people who are amazing examples of what a difference Tapestry can make in the lives of our children. Let me shift gears for a minute and talk about budget realities. The budget for the Ohio mental health system is being cut to the bone. Actually, it's being cut into the bone. And I know that many or most of you have been directly impacted by these cuts. We are being asked to do more and more with less and less, and we are living in scary times. I wish I could say that this situation is improving soon because the economy is going to improve soon. I'm not that optimistic. I don't know that the economy is going to improve soon. Economics is not my area of professional competency. But just as a concerned citizen, it doesn't look good to me. And I'm also concerned that we have made so many cuts to the mental health system in particular, cutting into the bones of the system, that it is going to take a while to heal, even if the economy does improve. It is more imperative than ever that we develop programs and attitudes that enable us to work effectively with each other and with the kids and families in the community, It's usually simply more effective because you can work with the family as a unit. And if the goal is the achievement and maintenance of long-term health, then we have to work with the family as a unit. If we care about our children, we will look for ways to support and not tear down family relationships. As I once heard at a drug court conference, if someone has spent their whole lives with a family that waltzes, and we send them to a place to teach them how to polka, and we give them all the reasons why they should polka, and then we put them back in a family that waltzes, and no one knows how to do the polka, how long is it going to be before that kid is back to waltzing? We can't just teach the kids how to polka. We need to teach the whole family. That's how we break generational cycles of dysfunction. It's been a real pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Say thank you for all the work that you do, as well as what you brought to us this morning, and I'd like to present you with a plaque.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I think now we're going to get into an exciting part of our agenda, which is really about rewards and recognitions. And to take time to really celebrate and recognize all of the champions here in this room and in this community. During the summer, we invited our partners to nominate individuals and organizations who embody system of care values. And this morning, we're going to recognize all of those nominees, as well as the individuals and organizations that were selected as champions of the year, in the following categories: family, youth, care coordinator, advocate, care coordination agency, and cluster agency. And once we have announced all of the champions, I'd like to invite those individuals to actually come to the stage and receive your recognition. Okay, so, and I think Ricardo, you're gonna help the other sort of semi-Ricardo, Rick, to hand out all of the, yeah. All right, the nominees for Family of the Year are the Avery family, who was serviced with Catholic Charities, the Garcia family with Cleveland Christian Home, the McCarroll family with Catholic Charities, the Mentor family with Beechbrook, the Price family with Applewood, the Singleton family with Beechbrook, and the Young family with Applewood, as well as the Caraballo family with Beechbrook. Can we give them a round of applause? And those were families that were actually nominated by folks in this room. And so specifically, we'd like to invite the Avery, Garcia, Price, and Mentor family to come to the stage. Okay. Just a switch. So these are families that were acknowledged by you all as care coordination and cluster partners. So again, we just want to say thank you for all that you're doing on behalf of children that are living with you, and thanks for coming today. Okay, so there were several youth who were actually recognized, and just want to acknowledge them. They're also in your program. Cameron Reed at Catholic Charity Services, Candace Carborough at Beachbrook, Deasia Sappho at Catholic Charities, Sean Prince at Cleveland Christian Home, and Taylor Hood at Catholic Charities. And so specifically, we'd like to invite Candace, Deasia, and Sean to come to the stage. Are any of those young people here? No? Okay, well, we'll give them a shout out anyway, so we'll get that to them. Now, we want to get to the care coordinators. Judge Sweeney began to acknowledge several care coordinators that she's worked with in mental health court, but we wanted to take a moment to acknowledge some care coordinators that were nominated this summer. Denise Jones, Fiona James at Beachbrook, Denise at Catholic Charities, Darnetta Frazier at Berea Children's Home, Diana Musgrave at Applewood, and Catherine Daly at Cleveland Christian Home. And so specifically, we'd like to recognize Denise and Fiona, if you could come and be acknowledged.
Hey, congratulations. Yeah. Good shot, though.
So yeah, these ladies, you know, there's lots of good work happening, but they are recognized by their peers in terms of the awesome work that they do on behalf of children. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next, equally as important, the care coordinator is an important part of the team, but an equally important part of the team is the advocate that works with families. And so we want to take a moment to acknowledge those who were nominated as Advocate of the Year. Kim Foster at the Westside Community House on behalf of the Westside Cluster, Starlisha Lavenshore at East End Neighborhood House on behalf of the Southeast Cluster, Canadia Brown at Harvard Community Center, again Southeast Cluster, Barbara Hurd at East End Neighborhood House with the Southeast Cluster, Marcia Johnson, St. Martin de Porres at the Northeast Cluster, Laveda Black, University Settlement House, Central Cluster, and Belinda Harris, University Settlement House, Central Cluster. And the, I feel like I should have like drum roll here, the Advocate of the Year, Miss Brown, can you come on up? Ms. Brown is actually the parent advocate who works with Mr. Hunt and his family. So. Okay. You want me to get in there? Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, no problem. All right, thank you. So last but not least, and we have something special coming that we'll actually send out to these folks later, but there are 4 organizations that we want to acknowledge because of the great work that they're doing. 2 of them are care coordination agencies, and 2 of them are cluster agencies. And I just want to be clear in saying that these 4 organizations were nominated by their peers. And so those organizations are Beachbrook, Catholic Charity Services, Easton Neighborhood House, and St. Martin de Porres. And so if we could just kind of give another round of applause to the great work that's happening there. All right, and I think that is it for the awards part. And so there is something up there for you, but we'll get to that in a second. You see, he looked back. I was like, yeah, that's for you. You see, he's not moving either. He's as we get ready to close out, I would be remiss if I didn't invite a very special friend, I call her, to come and make some remarks. When I first got here, for those of you who don't know, I moved to Cleveland, or moved back from Cleveland, or to Cleveland from Charlotte, North Carolina, about 1.5 years ago. And like Cuyahoga, where I lived in Charlotte, the great state of Mecklenburg was very interesting in its relationship with the state. And so I believe that one of the things that was so important is really developing and strengthening our relationship with the state office if we were to really make sure that system of care continued to happen. And so I want to invite Kay Reitz to come and join us. And she has been an awesome advocate. Kay is the Assistant Deputy Director for the Ohio Department of Mental Health, and she is a true friend to Cuyahoga, but she's also a true friend to children and families across the state. And so wanted to just invite her to make some comments from the state perspective. So.
Thank you. What an honor it is to be with you today for this celebration. And I really so much consider a number of people in the room who are true friends and trusted colleagues in the work that we're doing. The Cuyahoga system of care, Tapestry system of care, is truly a leader in our state. If you don't already feel it, if those of us who are traveling in other parts of the state, we realize that it is what's happening here in Cuyahoga that is so rich, given your team leadership with families at the center. And we have so much to learn from you. Luckily, we have, again, through the initiative of Catherine, with a number of other SAMHSA system of care sites in the state, either those who have graduated, like Stark and Southern Consortium in Southern or Southeast Ohio, Southwest Ohio, we have Hamilton and Claremont counties, and then Franklin is interested in being a future system of care, as well as other counties who have applied. So through Catherine's inspiration, we put together a system of care leadership team of all of those counties to be thinking together how we can promote with state leaders who are my peers at the state level and other folks around the state to get the, the sort of the fever of system of care. In the meantime, what we are trying to do at the state level, working on a strategic plan for children's mental health, and we call it Visioning for the Future. One of our legal staff said to me last week, visioning, that's not a word. It was really bugging him. So I went home, talked to my husband about it, and he said, just tell him we're verbing, And so it's a word, we are looking to the future, and so much we are led in our work through a steering committee that has more families represented than other constituencies and stakeholders in the state to help put an action plan together. We also have a larger stakeholder group that is intersystem that we've brought to Columbus several times to do initially a SWOT analysis, and then ultimately hearing from Georgetown Technical Assistance Center about public health and the integration with children's mental health. And we had Judge Sweeney sign up early on to be a part of that stakeholder group, as well as Teresa King and Catherine and some of her staff. So we feel so privileged that we have someone of Judge Sweeney's stature who is stepping up to want to be genuinely helpful with us. So we look forward to learning from you and being partners with you at the state level. Thanks.
All right, well, that sort of concludes our formal agenda. Maybe I get some points because we're really early, I don't know. But in closing, I guess I want to just say I really appreciate the fact that you all took time, as Jim mentioned, on a kind of cloudy day to come out and spend some time with us. We really have a lot to be proud of here in Cuyahoga County. For many of us, myself included, this is not work or a job, it's really very personal. And I really want to say thank you to the staff for whom it's very personal to, at each of the provider agencies, the care coordination, the neighborhood collaborative organizations, but also the staff of Tapestry, for whom this is also very personal, and who did a great job taking time to plan this morning's meeting. At our core as professional helpers, you know, we have a responsibility to do what's right by families, and that means being family-centered and strength-based, community-based, and accountable, as well as culturally competent. And sometimes that's hard and it's tiring, but I think, you know, it's courageous when we renew our faith and keep the commitment to moving that direction. And the benefit is seeing young people like Mr. Hunt, who is really, I think, an awesome representation of young people in this community. And so, yes, you are going to get what is on that table now. And I just want to say, I hope all of us can continue to be courageous and persistent in the work. And thank you, Ricardo, for taking time out of your schedule in front of a lot of people to co-MC this with me. So I appreciate you, I appreciate everyone, and have a great weekend. Okay. I didn't mean to.
I'm Rick Warner from the County Office of Health and Human Services. Good morning. It wouldn't be a priority for that one or Ricardo. Jim mentioned the transition of county government, as I think Catherine did, with our partners at Juvenile Court in the state. One thing that we should just all remember as we go forward to the rest of this year and early next year, there are a whole new group of people coming into lead the county, from the county executive, Mr. Fitzgerald, to 11 new county council members. It's the responsibility of those of us who work at the county to try to brief them on what we're doing, and they'll get inundated with facts and figures and budgets and programmatic descriptions and lots of much more data and information than they will either want or be able to digest in a short period of time. They also have to know the stories, though. And I think today was a lot about the stories of successful children, families, judges, and staff from all agencies, both public and private, who have helped families move forward in the community. You have to tell your story to these new folks. Anything that we say as county staff doesn't have the power and the authenticity and and frankly the candor and the honesty that all of you do. So I hope you will take the time as this new government comes in to reach out to your county council member, to the new county executive, and explain to them the importance of work like Tapestry, because they're going to be the ones who are making decisions on recommendations that come up from Catherine and her colleagues at the System of Care office, from the judge and other folks. And so it's just very important that they understand that behind the facts and figures, or maybe in front of the facts and figures, are families and children and individuals and partners without whom we could not do this work and who benefit very directly from this work. So please advocate on behalf of not only what you all do in your individual agencies, but please also advocate on behalf of System of Care. What has gotten started here deserves to be continued, as Jim mentioned during his remarks, and the only way that we will be able to do it is if we get your support in making sure that the new county government understands the significance of what's been done thus far in System of Care and continues it. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
That's it. I don't know. Nothing else. The folks who have been certified, I apologize. We would like to, they're recognized in our program, but there are 9 folks who actually have been RAP certified. And so just want to acknowledge Melanie, Gail, Marcia, Virginia, Fiona, Robert, Love, Clay, and Kim. And we have certifications of appreciation for them. So, thank you. Have a great weekend.